At 13, I started a pharmaceutical company, AKA drug dealer. Found myself back in prison at the age of 18. Fast forward, got tired of going to prison and started to be more conscious about how I was destroying my community. So I started to look for something else that was close to the money that I was used to making, and that was real estate. He taught me the game of real estate. I bought my first house, and it was funny, my first fix and flip, that was the first legal check that I had ever gotten. And I carried a check around with me for like a month. Like I couldn't really believe that. I couldn't really believe that it was real. And I was saying to myself, if I would have knew this earlier, I would have been doing it.
So like when you first started, like did you have the cash like to go ahead and start investing? Like how'd you get the money to buy your first property?
My first property was $13,000 with a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. I was 17 when I bought that property. Mm-hmm. And 30 days before I bought that property, I had got robbed for everything that I had.
What's one of the best ways to get into real estate?
My favorite strategy is wholesaling. Just with wholesaling, you in the driver's seat to have the options to use multiple exit strategies. What I mean by that is, you find an off-market property. Off-market property basically meaning a property that's not on the MLS. You find an off-market property. It's a couple things you could do with that off-market property. You could put the property under contract. You could put the property under contract, and you could assign that contract to somebody else without you putting any money down. You just put the property under contract with an assignment agreement, and you can assign that property, that paper, to somebody else for a fee, whether it's $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. So that's one strategy, right?
So welcome back to another episode of Motion and Success. My name is Cody Brown, and I have my co-host with me.
Yes, I am. We back with another episode. It's a little bit of a different setting, but y'all gonna get the game regardless. But today we got a real special guest with us today, for sure. Real estate guru, super tapped in with the real estate game out in Cleveland, Ohio, right?
Right.
And
right.
Yeah, definitely. So today we got with us.
He got a mic, bro. Yeah, you just speak. You good.
Beyond Wynn.
All right, cool. So Beyond Wynn, just go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people a little bit about yourself, what you do, your background, how you got into real estate and stuff like that.
So again, my name is Beyond Wynn, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. At 13, I started a pharmaceutical company, AKA drug dealer. I went to detention home shortly after that. When I got released from the detention home, I went back to the pharmaceutical stuff, thinking that I could outsmart the law. Found myself back in prison at the age of 18. Fast forward, got tired of going to prison and started to be more conscious about how I was destroying my community. So I started to look for something else that was close to the money that I was used to making, and that was real estate. My pharmacist connect, actually was buying properties, and he connected me with a mentor. My first mentor was a real estate broker, and he taught me the game of real estate. I bought my first house, and it was funny. My first fix and flip, that was the first legal check that I had ever gotten. And I carried a check around with me for like a month. Like I couldn't really believe that. It was real. And I was saying to myself, if I would have knew this earlier, I would have been doing it. And that's why I always tell people, most of the stories that we tell ourselves that keeps us stagnant or putting things off, that story in our mind most of the time is not real. As it pertains to, this gonna be hard, and like all these different things. Everything is hard until it becomes easy. Your best lessons will come from the actions that you take. And so my point is, whatever that vision is that you have, that thing that you can't forget, the things that keep tugging at you, the sooner you do it, the quicker you can get to living, your best life or your assignment. So real estate has been that vehicle for me to not just to make money, but to change my community and assist other people with doing the exact same thing.
So that's a crazy backstory. So like when you first started, like did you have the cash like to go ahead and start investing? Like how'd you get the money to buy your first property?
So that's funny because our mind works in pictures. Like you can't remember dates, but you can remember, pictures. And so when I think back to my first property was $13,000 with a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. And I was 17 when I bought that property. And 30 days before I bought that property, I had got robbed for everything that I had. I had got robbed for everything that I had. I was being greedy. My first mind told me, don't go make this transaction that got me robbed. But, greed kicked in. When greed kicked in, you can't think straight. And so I went to make this transaction, got robbed for everything I had. And all the money that I had left, I owed the Connect the money. And so me being the person that I am, I didn't understand it at the time when I was in the picture, because when you're in the picture, you can't really see. And you think back, you're like, oh, wow. So I gave the Connect all the money that I had, and I didn't tell them that I got robbed, because I didn't think that was none of his business. It was like, okay, you trusted me with something, and I value that. So I paid the Connect all the money that I had, and paid them all the money that I had, and then I found out who robbed me. So me and my uncle put another plan together to take care of that. And so a few weeks later, my Connect, he gave me something that I had never had before. And it was funny. I was like, wow, I never told him I got robbed. And then look at the blessing, even though it was the wrong thing at that time, but that's what I was doing. And he gave me the most stuff that I ever had at that time. And then when he gave that to me, I told him, I was like, I got robbed. And all the money I had left, that was the money I paid you with. He's like, you should have told me. I said, but that wasn't none of your business. It's a good principle to be a man of your word, regardless of what you're doing. Be a man of your word. Be impeccable with your word. That travels. And as you continue to be a man of your word and become known for that, opportunities and blessings will chase you down. So fast forward, I had put the bid in on this property, and then I had got robbed. So when I was thinking I was going to have the money to buy the property, I got robbed, and then I was thinking like, okay, I'm not going to have the money, and then my guy do that, and so I was able to close on my first property at 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's really a crazy backstory. And you want to know what's crazy is like a lot of people, they do want to leave that, that past life, getting locked up,
right,
selling drugs. But usually anytime they come back out, they brought back to that environment again. So to see you, like you said, you bought your first property, and then you still got to keep in mind, the streets, is still there.
They watching you
and
too.
They watching you. So then you ended up getting robbed. And then after that whole situation, like, how did you move differently? Especially, you're still in the same kind of environment,
right,
same hood. How did you move around a little bit after that?
I basically moved the same, and it's one of I used to be uncomfortable sharing the street story, but what made me more comfortable was sharing my real story, because that's my real story. What made me more comfortable was sharing the story because I knew that there were other young men, black young men that look just like me in the same environment. They need somebody that's going to shed light on the truth, and that has really lived it from both sides, right? From both sides. So I'm thinking like, who better to share the truth about the streets from both sides? And so moving forward after that, what I learned was follow your first mind. So a lot of the principles that I use in business and life to win, like I learned most of that from the streets. Right now it's just positive instead of negative. Mm-hmm. Now it's like building the community and building people, leading them to the championship in their life, you know what I mean, to the closing table in real estate instead of leading them to prison. Mm-hmm. So I learned like your first mind is right. And so if anybody, all you got to do is like life. I look at life like a science project, right? If where you at right now in your life, if you don't like it, try something different. But try it long enough so you could see if it really work or not. Like you get some information, go apply it, and then you fine tune it or tweak it to fit what you really want. So when you think about all the times in your life where things went wrong, It just didn't go wrong from out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was a sign that you ignored. It's just like your car, the engine don't go out on your car, just go out one day. No, the oil light been on for a month and you've been ignoring it and putting it off. And then you start hearing a knocking sound. And then you're like, man, my car won't. Like, but dude, you've been ignoring it. So it's the same thing in life. Like we all know, but we don't pay attention. We don't trust and follow our infinite intelligence. Like it's telling us every day. It's trying to lead us to our best life every day, but we keep putting it off. We keep putting it off until our back is up against the wall and there's no way out. Now we forced to change. We won't be in that position forced to change if we trust and follow our infinite intelligence. Think about Stevie Wonder, right, and Ray Charles. They can't see, but they've reached heights that most people will never reach and that most people can see. What is it? Well, they have no other choice but to trust in their infinite intelligence. They have no other choice. But we got a choice because we can see, and sometimes our eyes mislead us and take us off track. Like, how long would it take you to reach your goal? If the goal is to go straight and grab the camera off of that stand, right? If that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
But you get up, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike telling you to do that, and so you go left. And then Katrina and them, they looking great, so now you over here with Katrina, Tammy, and Tamara doing that. But how long will it take if you just go walk straight? Straight to it. Like, don't look left or right. If it ain't got nothing to do with your goals and your dreams that you say that you want to reach, why do you even entertain it? Why are you even in the phone? Why are you on the phone talking about anything else? Why are you at events that don't line up with where you said you want to go?
Sure. So along this path, like, you had to end a lot of relationships, especially like, with friends, families, and things like that.
Absolutely. So it took me years to be able to do that because I had a feeling that I was responsible. Yeah. I was responsible for everybody because I was in position, because I had, $2.50. So I felt like I was responsible. But what I started to realize as I continued to work on myself in personal development, whether it's reading personal development books, going to personal development events, I started to think, I'm like, hold up. God didn't make me responsible for everybody, and they fucked up finance habits, they laziness. How can I be responsible? That's too much of a burden for one person to be responsible for people that won't even show up for themselves. It's unfair if I show up every day. If I suit up, when I wake up in the morning, my feet hit the floor, it's game fucking time, and I'm going to get it, but you laying down. No, that's unfair. Like, life is a team sport. Everybody got to play their position. When you look at sports, whether it's football, basketball, we need everybody to play their position. If everybody play their position, we can win a championship. Yeah. If only one person playing, it's going to be a bad year. A whole bunch of bad years, or one bad year repeating itself for 10 years straight. So at some point you have to decide if you're going to be able to live with the regret of making everybody else's problems your emergency and you not moving forward, like living your best life because you feel like you're responsible for everybody. And so when I started to think about that, I was like, okay, coach put me in the game. Coach is God, the game is life, to lead my family to a championship. I can't let nobody get in the way of that. Nobody is bigger than that assignment. Nobody. And so that's how I deal with it. Nobody. And if you trying to do anything to mess up that play with me leading the team to a championship, I'm gonna cut you the same way the teams do. They cut. Oh, you ain't bringing no value to the tech. We're gonna cut you.
It was nice having you.
Yeah. Period.
Contract. You know what's so funny? I heard something before where every season, like, the roster's always changing for certain teams,
Right.
You got to be able to change your own roster as far as, like, your friends, the people that you hang around, because now they're not, that was a different season. 2024 is one season, 2023 is another season, 2022 is a different season. You got people on the bench moving up to, starting. So, like, it's just kind of like building relationships on the background, changing up your new people, and that's how you're able to win championships.
Facts.
So that's true. As far as like, real estate, like scratch real estate. Actually, never mind. Let's talk about real estate because you gave a lot of life gems. As far as real estate, like what's one of the best ways to get into real estate? Because now I know they got Airbnb, you got commercial, you got land, you can buy land, land banks. Like, what's your go-to as far as like real estate investing?
So real estate investing, my favorite strategy is wholesaling.
Wholesaling.
Okay.
Why is that?
I think because the wholesaling is, to me, the only strategy that puts you in multiple positions for exit strategies. Like with wholesaling, you in the driver's seat to have the options to use multiple exit strategies. What I mean by that is you find an off-market property, basically meaning a property that's not on an MLS. You find an off-market property. It's a couple things you could do with that off-market property. You could put the property under contract. You could put the property under contract, and you could assign that contract to somebody else.
Yeah.
Without you putting any money down. You just put the property under contract with an assignment agreement, and you can assign that property, that paper, to somebody else for a fee, whether it's $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. So that's one strategy, right? You could purchase that property yourself, cash, if you got the cash to buy it. You could buy it cash, and then you could turn right back around, put it on the market, put it on the MLS with a real estate agent, and sell it for a profit. 3, you could buy the property, rehab it, and add it to your rental portfolio for monthly income. 4, you could buy it, rehab it, put a tenant in place, put it under professional property management, and you could sell it to out-of-state or out-of-country investor that's looking to preserve their wealth in real estate. 5, you could buy the property, rehab it, and sell it to a homeowner. That's why I like wholesaling, because you have multiple exit strategies. If you come into real estate and you only know one strategy, say you only know how to fix and flip, and the real estate market changed, because the real estate has cycles, market up, down, sideways, or you go into a recession, and anytime you have a recession or the economy is experiencing turbulence, the banks start to pull out. So first-time homeowners, they can't go to the bank for funding because banks start to pull out. The economy shaky. So for retail flips, the end buyer is the homeowner, somebody that's going to occupy the property, but they need the bank to fund it, right? So all that comes to a halt. Like in 2008, the real estate market crashed, AKA corrected itself. People that was doing retail flips, they were stuck. They couldn't sell those properties. So if you only know the one strategy, you could get stuck. But if you learn wholesaling, if you learn wholesaling the proper way, you can never get stuck, because you could use all of the exit strategies. So that's why I like the wholesale strategy.
And that sounds more like new beginner friendly way to actually get into real estate too, right?
I wouldn't say. Here's what I would say, because I think sometimes when people talk about wholesaling, people think that it's the easiest route. I wouldn't say none of the routes easy. I always tell people, if you're thinking about becoming a real estate investor, decide that you're going to be a student of the game. Yeah. Don't just look for something quick or try to cheat the game. If you try to cheat the game, you're going to lose. Yeah. So I wouldn't say any of the strategies easy. I think everything becomes easy over time once you commit to being a student of the game. If you commit to being a student of the game, you're going to win for sure. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but for sure you're going to win. When I first got into real estate, I tried to cheat the game. I came into the real estate game with the same habits that I had in the street. It was just about, I want to get money by all means necessary. I was greedy. I was half doing rehabs. I was the property manager. I let anybody move in because I was maxing the properties out, take all the money out. And then I started having a high turnover with tenants, and then the market changed. I didn't know anything about real estate cycles at the time because I wasn't interested in being a student of the game. I just wanted the money by all means necessary. Yeah. And so what happened, the market changed and the properties wasn't worth what I maxed them out for, pulling the money out. The rent wouldn't cover the debt. I lost all the properties. I owed the bank $1 million and some change. I started feeling sad. It felt like I lost weight. I was mad at real estate. But once I stopped whining and fucking complaining and looked in the mirror and realized that was my fault, Like I was greedy. I tried to cheat the game, and the game kicked my ass. And so I decided that, I'm going to do business different. I built a mess, but if you build it right, it will take care of you. So once I admitted that, I messed up, I was responsible. That's when I started to work on my personal development. The greed went out the window. I focused on, putting a product together that I would live in. I focused on building relationships. I focused on building the right team, hiring the experts so the experts can do what they're great at, and things started to change for me. So, I came back and I was able to, to rebuild stronger than what I had built in the beginning. But that was all mainly because of personal development.
That's good.
Yeah.
Definitely. And in terms of like real estate, what kind of properties do you really go after? Like single family homes, multifamilies, anything in particular?
So no, when I look at real estate, I focus on great deals. So I don't care if it's a single family. I own single families, 2 units, 13 unit. It's all about the numbers. The path is math in real estate. So I don't care if it's a single family, 4 unit, 8 unit. If it's a deal, if the numbers make sense, if the return that I'm looking for, if it's there, if the deal meets my criteria, I don't care what it is.
And like, as far as the real estate in Cleveland, why is Cleveland such a market that, that you're like really like tapped into? Like, is it a lot of like affordable prices out there, or is it just like, you see something coming up for Cleveland in the future?
So 2 things. The first thing is, in terms of price point, say you look at a market like LA, inner city LA, you're gonna pay $750,000 for a house, like in the hood, $750,000.
What would be the possible returns on that?
$750,000 in the hood, I think probably like $2,000 a month, like after you pay everything. Yeah. So if you take that same $750,000, you invest it in Cleveland in the hood, instead of getting one house and making about $2,000 a month, in Cleveland, $750,000, you could get seven houses for the same money, and easily you're gonna triple what you would make in LA. So that's why people come to Cleveland, because of the price point. The cost of entry is cheaper than most markets. Another reason why I only focus on Cleveland, because I think that it's important to go deep. And I watch a lot of new investors get in the real estate game and they want to go wide. They want to focus on multiple markets. And I think that with our people, it's more important to them to look big than to actually be big or be successful. They want what looks like success. So to people that don't understand on social media, saying that they operate in 5 markets, that sound like, oh wow, he killing it. But most of them not killing it. They don't even understand one city that they live in. So for me personally, I know that going deep is the answer. Yeah. So that's why people come to Cleveland and they tap in with me, because I'm focused on Cleveland. I'm not focused on any other market. Like, I understand Cleveland like the back of my hand. I know a real estate strategy for every zip code in Cleveland that you can use to make money in Cleveland. It's impossible for somebody to understand all the zip codes around the U.S., but they on social media, talking like they understand all the zip codes in America. And I just think it makes both sense, SEN, SE, and CENTS, to focus and master one market. You could better help yourself, and if you're a mentor or a coach, you could better help the people that believe in you. You could better help them get to the closing table.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say too, and as far as like you're well experienced in the real estate game, what would you say was one of like the biggest learning lessons you learned? Like, because a lot of people, they jump in the real estate game, they got issues with contractors. A lot of them don't know how to get money from the bank, and then they just create a whole mess. So what's like the biggest lesson you learned starting early?
So the problem with contractors, I still have problems with contractors. Anything that you do in life, it involves human beings. And human beings will continue to be humans no matter what game you're in. I thought, coming out of the streets, I thought, I'm getting the real estate, this legit, so the people going to be different. Not the same people, they just dressed up in real estate. But one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in real estate was, for me personally, I don't know how to manage debt well. I don't know how to manage debt well. That basically means refinancing a whole bunch of properties, paying properties off, every month you got to pay the bank. And I'm not good at that. And so when you listen to a lot of people that, talking about debt and that's the best way, I don't agree with that. Real estate is not a one size fits all. Debt work for a small group of people, right? But most people can't manage that, right? Most people can't even manage a $5,000 credit card. So you telling me that, okay, you get a $100,000 line of credit, you about to blow up? No, you're not about to blow up. You about to be at the club with a section with fire coming out the bottle, almost catching on fire, right? So people got to be honest. People got to be honest with themselves. You know if you can manage debt well or not. So I learned that I can't manage debt. So that means I had to hustle harder up front to build up the capital, and I did that through wholesaling. I did that through fix and flips. And so then I put the strategy together where I take 80% of all the money that I make from flips, whether it's wholesale flips, properties that I buy cash, turn right back around, put it on the MLS, make a profit. Turnkey flips, properties that I rehab, put tenants in place under property management, sell it to out-of-state or out-of-country investors. Or retail flips, I take 80% of that and I use that to buy rental properties free and clear, and to also invest in other things outside of real estate, so I don't have to have a mortgage. So that's my play.
And in terms of tenants, do you go for because I know they got different type of tenants. You got the ones who, they pay, and then you have Section 8 tenants. So do you go for particularly programs, or it's just how do you scout out your tenants to avoid, running into problems in the future with them?
So you could still have problems regardless of if the tenant is a cash tenant, if the tenant is a Section 8 tenant, if the tenant is an Eaton tenant. Eaton is another government program. If it's a six-figure earner tenant, seven-figure earner tenant, or a veteran, a VA tenant, you could still have issues with that. The key is just having the right property management company that has a tight process when it comes to vetting tenants out. That's basically it. So you hired a property management company that's great at that, and you let them do their thing while you do your thing.
Okay,
That's
makes
good.
sense.
I just want to wrap up and ask one last, not necessarily ask a question, but just bring out something you said. As a mentor and an investor in Cleveland, you're bringing people to Cleveland. So now, one thing that came to mind was now you're bringing people to Cleveland to uplift the community. Now you have some crazy pull and crazy motion out there. And now the fact that you're uplifting the real estate market, you're able to, revive the neighborhood. So people don't have to sell drugs. So people don't have to be like, oh, this is my block. But technically, the people that own the real estate, this is their block. You know what I mean? And they get to run this stuff. So I think what you're doing is definitely commendable. And, just learning as a young age and just understanding life. There's some great content. There's some great, information. It's definitely going to change the game for sure.
I appreciate the opportunity for you allowing me to share on your platform. And, my vision, it was funny. I was telling my mentees one day about how my dream, I don't have a dream car or dream house. One of my dreams was to create a community of like-minded individuals that I can assist with changing their life mentally and financially. And we continue to multiply that, across our people, the people that look just like us. And that was my dream. So my community, the Cleveland Closers, that was my dream, to see that come to fruition. It's one thing to have a vision for something, but to actually see it come to fruition, it's a different feeling associated with that. And to ride around Cleveland, where I grew up at, to ride around Cleveland in those neighborhoods and see properties. I don't get excited seeing the properties that I own, I get excited seeing the properties that my mentees own and knowing that people own those properties that look just like me.
Yeah.
Like, most of the time in America, it's always, the others that own everything.
banks,
Yeah, they own
insurance
everything.
companies.
So for me, it's like Martin Luther King had an assignment. He executed on his assignment. Malcolm X had an assignment. Harriet Tubman had an assignment. And so this is part of my assignment, so that's what I'm excited about.
And where can the people find you at?
They can find me on IG, Facebook, and TikTok at Beyond Wynn, my full name, Beyond, last name Wynn, Wynn.
Nice. Like, comment, share, subscribe.
Yeah, definitely like, comment, share, subscribe to the Patreon, and definitely tap in with Beyond. Like, this was a great podcast. A short one, but definitely a lot of gems, a lot of games. Yeah, we out here in Atlanta at InvestFest, but this was dope. Really appreciate you.
Oh, no doubt.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Sure.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Hey, shout out to Earn Your Leisure, the whole team, MG, the mortgage guy, Troy, Rashad, Mike, Vince. Shout out to them for executing and demonstrating their genius, right? We all got genius inside of us. I know those people made us believe that genius was only reserved for names that we can't even fucking pronounce. No, we all got genius inside of us, and that's what we're here for. We all here to demonstrate our genius. So shout out to Earn Your Leisure for demonstrating their genius. That's what got us here today.
Yeah.